Well, welcome back to Exhaust Sports Auto. It is me again, Kevin, and I am actually here at Apex Imports to show you guys the 2019 Honda Accord, the 1.5 liter engine. And oh man, I already knew there was gonna be something wrong. You know what that issue is? You're not subscribed. I know you're not subscribed because only 2% of you actually subscribe to this channel and watch it. So if you haven't already, do that first, or else I'm not going to do this review. Are you done now? Is the red button, is that gray now? Because if it's not gray, then we're going to have an issue. Hopefully it's not, though. All right, enough wasting your time. Let's just get right into this review. So if you're interested in the vehicle, especially this one, because this is the one I'm reviewing, the 2019 Accord. It's only got like 7,000 miles on it. It's obviously 2019, so it's brand new. I'll leave all of Apex Imports information down in the description box below it. So let's just take this bad boy out. All right, so a couple of ground rules we need to establish. So this is actually the 1.5 liter turbo. There is no more naturally aspirated engines, and I have not driven the 2 liter turbo, which I know all the Honda fanboys are get all up and giddy about. It's because it's like that Civic Type R engine that's been detuned with a smaller turbo. This is not that. This is the 1.5 liter with the CVT actually, and it does have 192 horsepower and 192 pounds-feet of torque. Coincidence is that this is actually also 192 inches long, so a lot of things to do with that number, 192. But jokes aside though, let's just start off with the looks, I guess, because I have heard many things, like this thing has been called the ugly duckling by a few people. And I'll be honest though, I actually don't really mind the way this looks that much. Granted, the previous gen did have a more classy, almost like a Mercedes E-Class look, and that was cool. This, especially with the sport trim, this is a cool looking sedan, honestly. I do like these turbine wheels. It's kind of Audi-like, honestly, and it even has like that sport back look, so it kind of looks like an Audi A7, but it doesn't have the hatchback. It's actually just a regular trunk, and that's fine, but it would have been cool if this was that first car in the mid-size class segment to do a hatchback, but it is what it is. Let's just get right into this drive. So as of right now, doing about 60 miles an hour, and there's like a very slight amount of wind noise, but it's really nothing to complain about. Very appropriate for this class, very similar to like the Camrys and stuff like that. Even the Mazda 6 that I recently drove, really no issues really there. It's very class competitive, if you will. But I guess what you want to know more about is probably this drivetrain. The power in this is going to satisfy legitimately everyone, I think. 192 horsepower and an equal amount of torque, that's really not bad, especially for this segment, honestly. And this is like that base engine, you know what I mean? So, no, there's no V6s. I have driven it. I've driven like the 2013 Accord Coupe with the V6, and I've driven the Acuras with the V6. And yeah, that's an amazing motor. It makes all the power on the top end as well. And that's a fantastic experience. But honestly, these 4 cylinders, the gas mileage is going to be superior. I have said in the past that turbo 4 cylinders might not get the exact same fuel efficiency as a naturally aspirated counterpart, but the Hondas always get really amazing gas mileage, so that's fantastic. Another thing that really aids it in terms of, straight line performance is that this vehicle, it only weighs like 3,200 pounds. So that's extremely light for this class. There's a heavy amount of aluminum being used with this vehicle. And, that's really awesome, because I've driven a few like older model Honda Accords, like 02, 05, stuff like that. And they do genuinely feel amazing to drive. This is a good driving car, but it's not like the old school Hondas. And I'm okay with that. I'm not against it, but this vehicle, you can tell it definitely does favor a more comfortable ride. In fact, I would say that this actually rides similar to that 2016 Acura TLX I recently did a review on. And I'm really glad to see that the ride quality is here, because the Camry is like an amazing riding vehicle. So the fact that, and both like the Camry and this, they definitely ride better than the Mazda 6. So there's that. And speaking of the Mazda 6, that vehicle, it's definitely the fun to drive vehicle in the class, but honestly, so is the Hondas. And I'm really glad I was able to get behind this vehicle, because, it does have a few modes, got sport mode and all that. We'll see kind of how it handles as well. Brakes are extremely progressive, so that's fantastic. This chassis is actually surprisingly good. It's actually, man, I would even say that it might even be better than the Acura TLX in terms of like dynamics of the chassis. The steering is actually a bit heavier, especially when you put it in the sport mode. It does get slightly heavier. It is an electric steering rack, of course. You're not going to see a hydraulic steering rack in literally any of these cars, especially the new ones, so there is that. And this, the CVT transmission, it is performing extremely well. It does feel very linear, very natural feeling actually, and that was kind of the concern I was going to have when going into this vehicle. I knew a lot of people were not going to like the CVT, but honestly, after driving it, it's extremely good. I always said that the Kia Hyundais had, especially with their IVT or whatever, is a superb transmission. Well, this I would say is actually probably on the same level as that, honestly. There's like one or two creaks and rattles like here coming from like the front and kind of like the side of this door here, but that's literally about it. It's only on the roughest pavement that I actually noticed that as well. And I'll say another thing. So I kind of talked about this in the beginning, how this is like 192 inches long. That's almost big body car territory, honestly. It's only like 8 inches off of like the S classes and stuff like that. And after driving this, if you have this car set up right, for your driving position, which this does have a very good driving position, it is a very easy car to drive. I mean, I literally just got into it. I'm just whipping this thing. Like, I've had this thing for the past 10 years, you know what I'm saying? So this is a very easy car to get used to. The front, the way it's kind of raked down, you do actually get a good position of the road here. So that's pretty fantastic. You can kind of hit the apexes, if you will, if you're into that whole thing. But, after driving this, I do get it. This is a really nice driving car. It might not be like the older Hondas, but like you understand that there is still like an emphasis on driving dynamics. In fact, that they even still offer a manual transmission. Obviously, this is not that, but they do offer in both the 1.5 liter and the 2 liter, which is really amazing. And yeah, the V6 is gone, but to have like a manual transmission in this class with that much power, that is pretty superb. So there's like a slight, like, strange switch in tone, I guess. I'm assuming that this does have the VTEC that everyone loves, but this has really strong, potent acceleration. And I'm sure, that 2 liter, I've heard, is definitely faster actually than the V6s. So that's going to really be able to satisfy a lot of people. In fact, I would probably even say that's probably the fastest car in the midsize segment, because this does really feel strong as well. So that's really superb. So, after driving this for a bit, I like the power. I like the way it steers. Ride quality is pretty good. I hear, really the only con I can really find with this driving experience is a little bit of a rattle coming from this door. But, I mean, as far as driving it, man, I think a lot of people are going to really like this. There's a reason why this is like one of the #1 selling mid-sized cars. And, back in the day, in the early 2000s, like in the 90s, Toyota had nothing on Honda. Like, they just drove so much superior to just about everything. Even today, you do get that sense that, this is definitely like the most like athletic type of mid-size sedan. This and the Mazda 6, I'm assuming. So if you're in the market for like a new mid-size car, I mean, like it's always been for the last 3,000 years, you got to check out the Honda Accord for sure. There's a reason why everybody just loves this thing. And with that, let's go ahead and let's take a look at that interior now. Well, the brand new Honda Accord finally getting inside the interior of this bad boy. So one of the first things I actually noticed about this vehicle was just how solid the doors feel when I open and close them. It's actually really remarkable. It's almost like a Volkswagen, like almost like a German car, the way it's like a bank vault feel. It's like the first like Japanese car I've got into that kind of has that feel. So I really appreciate that. So let's kind of start this bad boy up, push button, start, of course. So it's kind of got like this digital, speedometer and tachometer thing going on here. And, it works pretty good, I guess. I mean, it does straight up just look like a physical speedometer and tachometer, so I don't really mind it too much, but nice little setup, I suppose. And this is a very rev happy car, so almost like BMW, like, honestly, it's very rev happy, so that's good. I guess I'll start off where I usually start, these seats. So these seats, I actually like the design of the seat a lot, aesthetically, and also, it's like this leather, but it's kind of got like this satin sort of, finish to like the middle here. I guess it's cloth. I suppose you can call it that, but it's more like a polyester type material. It's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, it's not like the softest seat. It's not like super like supple like you might expect out of like, I don't know, like a Lexus or something. These are really supportive and still comfortable seats nonetheless. You can definitely do, probably 100 miles in this car, like no issues per day. Like, it encourages you to like sit up properly, I guess. So I like the ergonomics of the seat a lot, so that's pretty good. This steering wheel, I really like just, I guess, the girth of it. It's a good size, and there's some nice indents here for your thumbs to lay. It's a very like sporty-ish, steering wheel actually. So I do like that. You do have like these paddles. It's kind of like the Acura paddles. It's like plastic, but what they've done is they actually painted it silver, so it's kind of got like this metallic look to it, which is, it's pretty nice. It's a nice little touch, I guess, but it is like a plastic paddle. Again, you're never going to use it. It's not really a big deal. And you know what? I'll probably actually say this. This actually has probably better ergonomics than like the newer Toyotas actually. Everything kind of falls into place real nice, like these window switches. These are really easily accessible. Auto switches for both the one touch up and down for the front two windows here, and it is like just like a regular automatic window in the back. It's not one touch, but it's okay, whatever. And all this like HVAC controls done perfectly. Like another thing is I really like Honda because they actually do listen. Similar to like Kia Hyundai, they actually listen. Like if you looked at, I guess the Acura lineup, everyone kind of, even the Honda Accord, back then, everyone complained that it was really like button happy. There's like a lot of buttons going on here, and they fixed that later by adding 2 screens, which people did not like. But Honda thought, it's a touchscreen crazed world now, so they decided to add 2 of them, make people happy. That did remove the clutter of buttons, but people didn't really like how the 2-screen thing worked either. So now they listened once again, and they've done something amazing, which is, all the climate control stuff is really easy to access. It shows you the temperature right here. It's all completely separated from this screen, which is absolutely fantastic. Fit and finish, of course, is going to be excellent in these Honda Acura cars. Very similar to Toyota and Lexus. These are definitely some of the most solid cars, and they are going to age extremely well. I did mention the slight rattle from the side door here, but honestly, that's really it with this car. Otherwise, this is a super solid car. Like I said, the doors, they feel amazing as well, even to open and close. And they're really easy too. It's like lightweight. There is obviously a lot of lightweight materials being used in this vehicle, like I mentioned during the driving. Aluminum hood, aluminum for a lot of the suspension components, and a lot of other places where they use aluminum in the underbody as well. So a lot of that is going on. These doors, they're not like an absolute pain to just open and then like close again. Just everything is like a correct weight in this, which I really like. Plenty of storage spaces, lots of space for drinks as well, and nice little space down here. It's very deep. You can definitely put a phone in there for sure. You can definitely put drinks in this door pockets as well, which is excellent. And pretty much every Honda Accord, like all cars today, honestly, they will come with either some form of a screen, basically, even in the base model. So you will get either a 7 or 8 inch screen. I believe this is the 8-inch screen, and it does respond extremely quickly. It does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well. And yes, you have physical buttons actually in the side here to click. There's no like soft command buttons or whatever. And you do have buttons on the steering wheel to control your volume and track selections right here. And you can really customize this gauge cluster right here because it is completely like digital. You can make it show like whatever you want, basically, like your like your trip, your fuel economy, speed, audio, like your infotainment stuff. You can have that show up here as well. There is no like heads-up display. That's nonsense anyway, so you don't really need that. So it's kind of got everything you need in this vehicle, so that is actually pretty awesome. Safety features as well. It's got the lane keep assist, which I would probably recommend turning off in most cars. It does have like the radar cruise control thing. But this whole infotainment, very easy to use, definitely far better than what they were doing beforehand, which is excellent. They are definitely listening to the consumers, and they are improving what they have. And it's really like large, legible, all that good stuff. And, it makes little noises occasionally. I'm sure you can turn that off in the sound section. So that's good. traditional gear shifter, which is phenomenal, very easy to use. You get your little sport and the eco mode buttons, and obviously it does have normal, which is kind of what I recommend driving around it anyway. It does have an electronic parking brake, so there is that. And like I mentioned, of course, Honda does offer a manual transmission, so that's amazing as well. I do appreciate them doing that. Large amounts of space in here as well in the center armrest, and it is pretty soft, so it's large enough to, you know, put 2 elbows on here, and it's pretty soft. It's a nice little comfortable position for driving. Glove box, decent size. The you know, manual isn't like a Bible, I suppose. It's just an appropriate size. You can just put that in there. No sunroof in this particular model, and I'm totally okay with that. You will actually get more headroom, actually, so for taller individuals, that's very good. With that, that pretty much covers the front section for the most part. I will actually go ahead and jump into the rear seats and see what that's like. Okay, well, getting in the rear seats now. Jesus Christ, dude, it's like Maybach levels. You just kind of sink on in there, dude. That's pretty remarkable, actually. Make yourselves comfortable, that's for sure. This is probably the most amount of space. This is probably the largest mid-size car for sure. And I'm going to show you the trunk in a little bit, but dude, this is insane, man. Not only is the legroom like Rolls-Royce like, but like the tow room, you definitely have a lot of space underneath. And this is set to my seat setting at 5'11", so that kind of gives you some perspective. I mean, I'm just, dude, it's like an LS Lexus back here. You can legitimately just cross your legs, do whatever you want back here, which is just amazing. But yeah, anyway, the seat comfort, it's literally the same as it is in the front, so there is that. You do have your little armrest thing, of course, with 2 legitimate cup holders. There is no HVAC back here. A lot of space. It's like a deep space. I can put my whole fist down there, but there is no HVAC, unfortunately. But you know, not a big deal. This actually, I didn't mention this in the front or when I was driving it, but dude, that AC is cold as hell. Like that thing's blowing some frigid air at you. So honestly, it'll definitely reach back here. I wouldn't be worried about having HVAC, honestly, in this car. So that is amazing. But yeah, I'm just basking in the glory of just the back seat of this Accord. I feel like I'm in a limousine, basically. You just feel like a superior individual back here. This is so XS that I love it. So that's pretty awesome with this car. I will say though, headroom isn't like massive. Like it doesn't correlate like with this rear legroom. I will say probably like taller individuals, like 6'5", 6'6", you might run into some issues. Like, I mean, you can definitely like slouch down, I guess, and that'll kind of solve your headroom issues. But this kind of raked roof line, it does kind of affect the headroom, but I wouldn't be too worried about it, honest. I'm 5'11", and I fit back here, no issues. I am not lusting for more space. But taller individuals, you might kind of brush your head up against. It's just something to keep in mind. Not a huge deal, like I just mentioned. But yeah, that's pretty much the entire rear. Let's go ahead and let's talk about that trunk and kind of wrap this whole video up. All right, well, get ready because this won't open unless you have the key fob. I can't find a button back here. I think this is the same thing with the Acura TLX. I don't know what that is, but there is a button inside to open the trunk, which I'm about to press because I can't find the button. One of you internet trolls might be able to help me out with that. And even if you do open it like inside or with the key fob, it doesn't open all the way. It just kind of does this thing. Whatever though. See, I can't find a button. There's just like the light right here for the license plate. Anyway, take a gander at this. What is this? This is the largest trunk I think I've ever seen in my entire life. I think you could fit a whole Cadillac back here. This is pretty ridiculous. Not the opening is amazing. The actual space inside, Christ almighty, dude, that's a trunk right there if I've ever seen one. And the cherry on top, when you lift all this nonsense up, there's some tools in there. There is actually a legitimate spare tire as well. So that's really nice, really practical vehicle, man. There's really been no such thing as a bad Accord, and honestly, there still isn't. I totally get why people love these things. This is a really nice driving car legitimately, and there's a ton of space not only on the inside but also in this trunk. So with that, let's go ahead and let's just wrap this whole video up. So Before I get flooded with rain, I'm just going to wrap this up real quick. So first of all, special thanks to Apex Imports. They are a massive used car dealership in this area, and they have so many cars. I think like over 500 cars. This is like bigger than most Toyota dealerships, honestly. And I appreciate them for letting me check out this 2019 Honda Accord for you guys. Like I mentioned, I'm going to leave all their information down below. Hopefully I can come back and do some other like new cars, because they do actually have a lot of newer 2019 cars in stock. So there is that. Anyway, the 2019 Honda Accord. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to like this car as much as I did. Like, I knew it was going to be a good car, but this kind of checks off everything that someone would want in like a fun kind of mid-sized sedan, basically. The Camry is very much like a luxury experience. It's like the most comfortable out of the bunch. It's really just this and the Mazda 6. That's kind of like the two that are battling it out for the top spot in terms of fun to drive mid-sized cars, because this is kind of like a regular car. I get it, but it's just like people who own this is probably going to be like their only car, so it needs to be somewhat engaging to drive, and this is, and so is the Mazda. But which one would I honestly choose between this and the Mazda? That's a really tough choice, and I get it. A lot of it's going to come to the looks, but I can't really talk about that because some may actually love it, and some are going to call this the ugly duckling or whatever. I'm not going to lie, when I see white Honda Accords of this generation, it does kind of look like a Dodge Charger from a distance. I do kind of slow down, think it's a cop. There is that, but regardless, I mean, you're driving the car, you might not care how it looks. Personally, I think because of the ride quality alone, I might have to choose the Honda Accord. It's a tough choice, it really is. I would probably have to drive them both back to back, but the Mazda 6 did have a 6-speed automatic, which is great. This is a CVT in this 1.5 liter. When you get the turbo in this, you do get a 10-speed auto. I'll have to drive it. I do think that's a lot of gears, but again, I'm gonna have to drive it and test it out for myself. But I will say one thing though, the power in this is gonna literally blitz pretty much all the other like base 4 cylinders in the market for sure. It feels good. It spools up nicely, and it does feel very progressive. This CVT is actually excellent. So if you're kind of turned off by the CVT, but you like the power, definitely try this out. You're gonna appreciate the way the power comes on in this. It doesn't feel stupid or rubber bandy or anything like that. This does feel pretty proper to me. Bit of wind noise, bit of tire noise at 50, 60 miles per hour, but really it's not too bad. It's very appropriate for this class. Almost all cars, including luxury cars I've driven, they have some form of wind noise or tire noise actually. So I'm not really tripping over that, but super comfortable car. The gas mileage is gonna be amazing. I believe you can put regular gas in here, at least I hope you can. Stupid amounts of space for humans, for your things, lots of little cubby spaces. It's excellent. The infotainment, the interior layout, very ergonomic, easy to use, like how Honda actually listens to the customer basically, and they continually improve, similar to Hyundai Kia. With that, I think you get the point. It's a phenomenal all-rounder. I get why the Honda Accord is so highly praised and why everyone loves Honda, and I'm glad to say that even people who like the old school Hondas, I think you can get in this and appreciate just how it's kind of advanced. I mean, it's a super comfortable daily car now. So with that, those are kind of my thoughts on this 2019 Honda Accord. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, consider subscribing, like I said in the beginning. And if you did find value with it, consider being a Patreon member if you so choose. Again, special thank you to Apex Imports. I hope to come here more often because they do have a lot of great cars to choose from. So definitely at the bare minimum, check out their website for sure, because I will be coming here very often. You're gonna see just how immense their inventory is. So with that, thank you for watching. Take care and goodbye.